9 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few quarterbacks I have as sleeper options. This week, the first guy, P.J. Walker of the Carolina Panthers. So this Panther team over the last few weeks, since they got rid of Matt Rule and P.J. Walker's been the starter, their offense is at least putting up points. They're moving the football, and it's a big improvement from what we saw early in the season. So the last few games here for Walker, he's been serviceable for fantasy owners. Week 7 versus Tampa Bay, 177 pass yards and 2 touchdowns, and a shocking victory in that one. In Week 8 at Atlanta, 317 pass yards, a touchdown, an interception, and 20 rushing yards. So right here, I know a tough matchup on paper, Week 9 at Cincinnati. That gives up the 4th least amount of fantasy points to quarterbacks on the season. But I think Walker, he's getting comfortable in this offense. Wilkes likes him over there right now. And then he has some guys who can make some plays. DJ Moore, he's resurrected, obviously. Donta Foreman, he's looked great in the 2 ball games. He's had the expanded role since the McCaffrey deal. And Chuba Hubbard might come back as well in this one. So right now, P.J. Walker available in 94% of fantasy leagues here. And he's a quarterback I have as a sleeper this week. The next guy, Taylor Heinecke of the Washington Commanders. So this Commander team, they rally around Heinecke, it seems like. A couple seasons ago, we saw it where he almost beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. And now the first 2 games that he started this season, they're 2-0 is this Commander team with Heinecke at quarterback. Week 7 versus Green Bay, 201 pass yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 rush yards. And then last week in Week 8 at Indianapolis, 279 pass yards, a touchdown, and 29 rush yards, and a TD. So Heinecke, he's a grinder, no doubt about it. He keeps his team in the ball game, and they're finding ways, like I mentioned the last 2 weeks here, to win those ball games. So right now, a decent matchup on paper, and a game that probably will be chasing points versus the Vikings. I give up the 10th most fantasy points to quarterbacks on the season. I think Heinecke could go into this ball game and once again have a decent ball game. I know this Viking defense has been playing great of late here, but Heineke's actually got some weapons in Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel. He's using Antonio Gibson good out of the backfield as a receiver. And you got Robinson Jr. So right here, it's still available in tons of fantasy leagues in 90%. He's a quarterback as a sleeper in deeper leagues this week. And the third and final quarterback I have as a sleeper this week is Mac Jones of the New England Patriots. So right now, it was a big uprise for a couple weeks about Bailey Zappi. And then he came in that Monday Night Football game a few weeks ago versus the Bears. He started off well, and then the Bears shut him down the remainder of the ball game. So Mac Jones started last week versus the New York Jets, and it wasn't a great game. 194 pass yards, a touchdown, and 19 rush yards. But this week here, a mediocre matchup versus the Indianapolis Colts. And throughout his career, he's been a better player at home, is Mac Jones, than he's been on the road. So right here with a home game in a matchup where I think he could put up a few points. And if you're desperate for a quarterback in deeper leagues, or whatever the case may be here, he's available right now in 84% of fantasy leagues. And I think he could score anywhere from 15 to 18 fantasy points this week. So that's a few quarterbacks I have as sleepers here for Week 9 of the fantasy football season.